Fusion. Now, here's the big question. I was really struck by this. If fusion is 30 years away, why are venture capitalists investing? VCs don't go for 30-year returns. If they wait 2 years, they've waited an eternity, right? So I'll give you some examples of VCs investing in a second, but this all says to me, it's part of why I believe that startups will get there first before the big government-funded behemoths like the ITER tokamak in Cadarache, France, and the National Ignition Facility in Livermore, California, where their lasers are traveling, 180 lasers or something like that, are traveling a mile to get to their target about that big, and ITER's is 10-story tall, and they're huge money sponges. And that's not to say that good scientific results won't come out of them, but we have several startups now going at it in an entrepreneurial fashion, and I think startups will get there before the big guys. Deuterium, tritium, this is what they're working on at ITER and also at NIF. ITER and NIF both have very different ways of fusing deuterium and tritium, but the idea is they fuse, neutrons come off, hot neutrons come off, that heat drives a turbine, generates electricity or takes oil out of tar sands or whatever industrial process. Now, some startups working on the same sort of thing, but in an entirely different fashion, are General Fusion of Burnaby, Canada. They've raised $32 million, and their backers include Jeff Bezos of Amazon fame and a Canadian oil company, Cenovus.
So when I started this fusion company in 2002, I knew I couldn't fight with the big labs. They had much more resources than me. So I decided I need to find a solution that is cheaper and faster. Now, magnetic and laser fusion are pretty good machines. They're awesome piece of technology, wonderful machine, and they have shown that fusion can be done. However, as a power plant, I don't think they're very good. They're way too big, way too complicated, way too expensive. And also, they don't deal very much with the fusion energy. When you make fusion, the energy comes out as neutron. Fast neutron comes out of the plasma. Those neutrons hit the wall of the machine. It damages it. And also, you have to catch the heat from those neutrons, run some steam to spin a turbine somewhere. And on those machines, it was all a bit of an afterthought. So I decided that surely there's a better way of doing that. So back to the literature, and I read about the fusion everywhere. One way in particular attracted my attention, and it's called magnetized target fusion, or MTF for short. Now, in MTF, what you want to do is you take a big vat, and you fill that with liquid metal, and you spin the liquid metal to open a vortex in the center, you know, a bit like your sink. When you pull the plug on a sink, it makes a vortex. And then you have some piston driven by pressure that goes on the outside, and this compresses the liquid metal around the plasma, and it compresses it, gets hotter, like laser, and then it makes fusion. So it's a bit of a mix between a magnetized fusion and the laser fusion. So those have a couple of very good advantages. The liquid metal absorbs all the neutrons, and no neutrons hit the wall, and therefore there's no damage to the machine. The liquid metal gets hot, so you can pump that in the heat exchanger, make some steam, spin a turbine. So that's a very convenient way of doing this part of the process. And finally, all the energy to make the fusion happen comes from steam power piston, which is way cheaper than laser or superconducting coil. Now, this was all very good, except for the problem that it didn't quite work. It's always a catch. So when you compress that, the plasma cool down faster than the compression speed. So you're trying to compress it, but the plasma cool down and cool down and cool down, and then it did absolutely nothing. So when I saw that, I said, well, this is such a shame, because it's a very, very good idea. So hopefully I can improve on that. So I thought about it for a minute, and I said, OK, how can we make that work better? So then I thought about impact. What about we use a big hammer, and we swing it, and we hit the nail like this, in place of putting the hammer on the nail and pushing and trying to put it in. That won't work. So what the idea is to use the idea of an impact. So we accelerate the piston with steam. That takes a little bit of time. But then, bang, hit the piston, and paf, all the energy is download instantly into the liquid, and that compresses the plasma much faster. So I decided, OK, this is good. Let's make that. So we build this machine. In this garage here, we've made a small machine that we managed to squeeze a little bit of neutron out of that. And those are my marketing neutrons. And with those marketing neutrons, then I raised about $50 million. And I hire 65 people. That's my team here. And this is what we want to build. So it's going to be a big machine, about 3 meters in diameter, liquid lead spinning around, big vortex in the center, put the plasma on the top and on the bottom, piston hit on the side, bang, it compresses it, and it will make some energy. The neutron will come out in the liquid metal, going to go in a steam engine and make the turbine, and some of the steam will go back to fire the piston. We're going to run that about 1 time per second, and this will produce 100 megawatt of electricity.